Hello everyone, welcome to Meshery Development Meeting. Today is January 24th and we have a number of items which we will be discussing on Meshery project. So in case you are new, Meshery is a CNCF project that helps you manage your Kubernetes cluster and cloud-native applications across multiple environments in a collaborative way. And Meshery is a CNCF project. And so we will be going to a number of agenda items that we have for today, and we'll be seeing different enhancements and bug fixes and new features added by different community members, maintainers, and contributors. So before moving forward, please make sure that you add your names in the meeting minutes. And secondly, and if you have a webcam, ensure that you turn that on. And if let's see any newcomers on this call and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. So I think Altaf, are you joining for the first time? Would you like to introduce? Um, okay. You can also introduce on the chat if there are some network issues. Um, okay. Deves, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, hi Pranav.
Hello.
I'm Dinesh Sharma from Delhi. I'm an CSE undergraduate and currently in my final year of integrated BTech, MTech and CSE. And I'm pursuing computer science and engineering with masters. And I'm highly trying to contribute to Meshery as much as I can. So this is my first meeting, obviously. So that's for now.
Okay, that's cool. Did you get a chance to set up the project?
Actually, I was trying to set up, but I got stuck into an error. So I created an issue. I also texted you on Slack and I guess another one. I have been assigned that particular issue myself, but I saw that issue has already been raised previously. Like if you want me to share that link, I would share to you.
Yes, you can add in the agenda item and we'll cover that once we go over other things. Then we'll show
Okay,
you
okay,
can.
okay. The topic one or some like.
Any questions you have or any issue that you're solving. So if you want any feedback, we can discuss that.
Okay, okay. Do I need to add this in the topic section of this document or
Y-
something
y-
else?
Yes, in the topic section. Yes.
Okay, okay. Thanks a lot.
Hmm. Thank you. Um, I think I think rest all are old timers, so we can get started with the first item from Sonali. Sonali, would you like to take over?
Yeah, sure. So there's a dark mode issue in the transfer model. So I have fixed that. Like right now, after the fix, it's look like this. In light mode, same. So anyone can have any other suggestion or something? Other thing. I have fixed that button.
Mm.
Just
Sonali,
a small question, like, yeah,
yeah. Sonali was asking. I wanted to ask why does the only two buttons have a why there are different border colors for different buttons?
Uh, like when we add the check mark here, we can transfer one item, and also if all the items are loaded, we can transfer all thing to other side. Then it is enabled. It show a border color. If it
Okay.
is disabled, it doesn't have border color. That's the reason.
one thing in that the Meshery connections should have the Meshery logo, I guess. You you already have the support for that.
Okay.
And can you confirm, Sonali, that the scroll is working? Because last I checked, the data was loading to us limited content.
Okay, I will check that. I think scroll loading is working, but I will check. So next thing regarding RTK migration. So we have an issue regarding RTK migration. So we are going to migrate all the APIs from this package we use for API. So we thinking it migrate RTK. So uh, yeah, I have added how you can migrate an existing API into RTK here, which we already done examples. So you can refer those things we have already done and get idea how to do RTK migration. And, also, I have provided some things to uh, RTK documentation, and also here we have all the APIs in the Meshery doc, so you can get better understanding about the APIs as well. So if anyone interested, you can add a comment here, and you can start with any area. Also here I have tracking documentation, so you can get idea which are the areas we need to do migrations. Yeah. So anyone interested in working on RTK migration, you can comment here and start with.
Anyone has any questions on this? Anybody would like to volunteer? Okay. So now one thing, like, will you confirm, do contributors have to create a new issue for the topic that they are looking for, or they have to just comment?
Yeah, they can comment. Here I have already added one task, so I can create if they commented here in this issue, then I can create this task. I have added already a one page, like InDesign page. So if anyone interested in working on that, they can directly comment this issue. Not like they
Mm.
can comment. I will
Right.
share the link.
I was just saying, like, if you can create few smaller child issues so that it's become easier for new people, because like if they see, like if someone who's new and see a very big issue, then it will become difficult for them to navigate. If you can just add a small issue which can just tell, like, just for this page art migrate RTK, and we can track that issue in the spreadsheet, then it will be little, just my suggestion. That
Okay.
could be. Yeah. Thank you, Sonali. Next is Yash.
Sure, let me share my screen. Okay. So actually I was working on adding the inner boundaries for system in the UI. So I was also did one more update in which I pushed RJSF schemas to systems. So for those who don't know what are the RJSF schemas, so RJSF schemas help us to design the forms dynamically by just creating the JSON for by creating the JSON file in which we can define how our form will look. So this is an RJSF schema. We are using RJSF library over here. So most of them are all stored in the Meshkit currently, and we were previously using them through the API. And what actually I did over here is just move them over here and also writing the README properly so that we can have a correct naming convention to differentiate between the schema and the UI schema. So I will do that too. And I'm writing some comments so that they represent proper what that schema means. So if there is any question, they will be bundled with the systems component package. So yeah.
Like how will export that? Like through any API, right? Or like normal import?
Yeah, you can normally import them as you import the other components. It's just I will be making sure we have a proper naming convention to differentiate with it from others components. Like schema will be having whatever name you can add that, and at the last you need to add the schema as a naming convention. And for differentiating the UI schema, you need to add the UI schema at the end. And you can add as prefix as whatever you want. So I will be making sure that we have a proper naming convention, and we'll be making sure that we have README for that.
So like now we won't be required to use that API that we earlier had. Like earlier we
Yes.
used. Okay. So that can also solve that issue which we see sometimes, like the schema is not loaded and we see an error.
Yeah, that actually caused because of the latency that comes with the API. Yeah. So I am adding more of the schemas and I will update that so the internet can review that. Okay. This is one of the things. And the second thing is that we were saying that permission issue of not able to view the add performance profile model component. My currently server is not running so that I can share with you. This one. So previously there was some issue coming that this performance model was not able to because of permission. I assigned the permission also, but there was one typo that was also causing this issue. So I fixed that. I accidentally passed the actions instead of action. So this was causing the issue. So,
Thank you for the
okay.
fix. Looks good.
These were these methods.
Thank you, Yash. Next is Sudhanshu on Meshery UI fixes. Sudhanshu, would you like to do?
Yeah. Okay, so first is like we have info icons everywhere. So in Meshery UI, which redirect them to a particular area, either to the docs. So this was like missing the proper consistency and styling in there. So what I did that where we have it will have its own uniform tooltips. So like you can go to the here and just redirect to the docs, and everywhere we have that same styling now, and you just can't click here and we were redirected to the particular area like registry and connections will not now. So it's fixed now. Another thing I similarly in other pages like
Sudhanshu.
yes.
Yeah, wait. I was just saying that. Uh, I was just saying that like one thing there, the I button is not outlined. We always use the
Mm.
outlined styled icon, so it is first filled. And the
Okay,
second
okay,
thing
okay.
is that tooltip is not at all descriptive. Like it need to be descriptive before showing them that
Yeah.
you can learn more about. You need to describe what actually that categories means and everything, and which is helpful to user. After that, we can add show the learn more.
Yeah, makes sense actually. Yeah, this was I think my server went crash. So actually this was the I just fixed the styling right now, which was not affecting. We were clicking this tooltip and we were just redirecting. Yeah, that makes sense. We have discussed to have some more content over here, which we'll like. It'll make sense. It makes sense actually. I noted that point and okay. Any more other feedbacks on this? I just wanted to show something, but it's just crashed my UI. Okay, regarding no question. So moving forward, now yes, Yash was working on some system error boundaries. So that is now fixed from system, and it can be used anywhere like in cloud or like a universal area to have a consistent like a universal error boundary. If I have the all slacks links and every like proper links, and it's as a children. So if you want to pass any troubleshooting component like support model, so you can pass that child component. And yeah, like this has been done, and I think we need a proper release to get in production. So this is another thing. And I also raised a PR for that. I see that everywhere we have doesn't have the standard pagination for tables from system. So what we see that like, somewhere it is 10, 20, 40, and the options are mismatched. So what I've done is that it should be, it now will be after this merging this pagination will be standard from the system, like 20, and which is our standard one, 200. So but we have to be considered that, ensure that when we are like doing any API mentioning in the any of the our UI, we just have to set initial page should be 20, otherwise it will have conflicts. Otherwise we don't have to now mention this in our UI. It will be standard from system.
And if we want to
And
override, then we can just
yeah,
change this.
you can override, but it will be like a default this. And I've just documented also. I just want to say. And yeah, this one's my updates.
Thank you, Sudhanshu, for your bug fix and new changes. Next is Akshay. Is Akshay on the call?
No, no, I think he
Okay.
mentioned you.
Next is Ripul. Ripul, would you like to go next? Okay, I think he's also, we are missing him today. Then next is Ahmed.
Yeah.
Would you like to?
Yeah, sure. Uh, there are two updates. One was a minor fix that Abid, I think, Abid assigned. But since we are moving in the mesh map, we are moving. We'll be adding like I think inventory or something or some menu here. So we are moving all the badges to the left. I think this is done. Secondly, I wanted to give an update on the shape menu that I was working on. The I think the feature was done. I think the refactor, sorry, the conversion was done. I'm using the existing component raw, but Abid pointed out that previously the hooks in the menu were using Axios for the API requests, and now we are moving to RTK, right? So I was working on that. It's still a work in progress, I think. But I think most of it is done. I think I'll be able to get it like complete this by today. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Ahmed, for your update. Next is Ritik. Ritik would like to go.
Yeah, I'll share my screen. All right. So I was working on adding, accommodating all the interaction that we have on our canvas at a single place so that it is easy for us to look all the interaction that the user can do with node group pod or other shapes. That here in Figma we already have, but those are at the different places. So what I did, I have added all the interaction at a single place, so that now if we have to make changes in the future, we can directly come here at this interaction section in Meshery UI design file and make the changes over here, and after finalizing we can make the changes. So I have added the designer and the visualizer interaction both over here. So there's some work remaining for the visualizer, like 2-3 more things, then I will be done with that. So this is the first thing. So if anyone has a question on this, can ask.
Maybe
Huh?
you can explain a little bit how state will be working, like on what will happen on the left click and what will happen on the right click.
Yeah, so like I have created these 4 columns like that will show the different states of for example node group, in the default state, this will be the state when a user first drop the component or node group on the canvas, and these are the on hover we are showing like this Pamela and this resizer on the node group or the shapes that is dropped on the canvas. And yeah, same way like on click of the node group or on the right click we will show this. This is how it is, this layout is done. Okay, then I'll move to the next item. So I'm working on like creating a mock-up to show a workspace and environment in our mesh map. So like I don't have much context about it, but yeah, as much knowledge that I had, so I have created this one. So this is how we can show an environment or a workspace for in our mesh map. So yeah, I guess if Lee is on the call.
Yeah, like I can add few things like environment and workspace are like logical constructs in which we can group things. So let's say if you have an environment, you can group your connections in an environment. Then basically these logical groups are for sharing resources between different team members of an organization. So if you group different connections, you can add it in environment. Now for sharing an environment, you'll have to add it to a workspace, and then a workspace can be shared among different teams. So once you add different team members to that workspace, then they would be able to have access to different resources which are part of the workspace. So workspace is like higher level construct, then it's environments, then it's connections. So like this also shared in the Meshery documentation, and I think there's a discussion forum post as well. So that's like the meaning of environments and workspaces. And yeah, so the flow would be like if someone adds different components in an environment and then they'll try to deploy it, then things would be like, first of all, we'll dynamically create a new workspace like based on the name and their selected organization. Then we will also have environment name, so we'll create a new environment, add it to that workspace. Then we'll discover different resources, basically components which are on the canvas inside a specific environment, and then we'll just like once it's deployed, we'll just like do the mapping of those connections to the environments. Yeah. So that's, I think, should be the flow. And I think Ahmed was working on the UI. Is he on the call?
I
Okay.
guess he left.
Okay. So yeah. So
Yeah.
anybody has any questions on this?
Also, like this is the new thing that if this approves, then this is the new design that we will be adding. So we are not using this contract anywhere else in our projects, right? And to differentiate, like I use this icon for this is the environment icon and this workplace icon of it, so that it is easy to differentiate between the environment and the workplace. And also for the environment, I use this very light opacity, like 5% opacity of a green Keppel.
So Lee is asking like questions. So like yes, different environments can be assigned to same workspace. Well, means like same environment can be assigned to different workspace because there's an end-to-end mapping. And so yeah, like regarding workspace on the canvas, like earlier we discussed, like there would be like workspace would be pre-selected and it would be in context, everything would be in context of workspace. So based on that discussion, I think we wouldn't want to show workspace on the canvas. So
Oh, all right.
So workspace would be like a context switcher, like we have for Kubernetes connection. So workspace would be like once a user selects a workspace, then they would do everything under it. Would you like to suggest where to show active team members within environment to show? I think.
So like the workspace switcher would be like a preference, like a preference to switch in and like org selector in Meshery UI.
Maybe, but probably not. I mean, that's a great suggestion. If you play it through, probably not. The other question about where to show team members in context of an environment, like you don't. What do environments contain? Yes, that's
Connections.
right. Connections. Very good. What do workspaces contain? Not users.
Yeah, teams.
Teams.
Yeah. The thing is they don't even quote contain teams either. They relate to teams. Yeah. Oh, semantics. Very good. I leave for 20 minutes and what happens? Anyway, this is great. Hey, check out that environment mockup. Pretty cool. What would be helpful, and if Abed is here, he may be able to offer a bit of contrast between the proposed visual style of an environment versus the current visual style of a section, and how those two differ, and how people would naturally understand the difference. Do understand that one environment can be used across, choose better words. One environment can be used within different workspaces, or different workspaces can refer to the same environment. And so, yeah, that's sort of, so anyway, there's like a few things to think about. On a related note, let me drop this small bomb. Anybody here familiar with Kubernetes on the call? All right, good. Some of us kind of, sort of, not me, but the thing that I do know about Kubernetes, I'm aware that there are two constructs that might be begging for a similar problem to be solved. If you consider that there are Kubernetes nodes, a Kubernetes node is a server. So it represents, in a lot of respects, it doesn't always, it can represent a virtual server, but it typically represents a virtual machine. Whoops, I shouldn't have said anyway, a server, whether it's a virtual machine or a virtual, but so there are nodes, and you can have any number of nodes, well, not any number, but a large number of nodes per Kubernetes cluster. Okay, fine. Now, within the nodes, or rather spanning across a given set of nodes, so spanning across maybe an entire cluster, are namespaces. Namespaces are represented visually here as a node group. As a matter of fact, they don't look all too dissimilar from the proposed look of the environment. And yet, the way that they relate currently to a node, I believe, is like a namespace is a child of a node. However, a namespace can span more than one node. And so, in a similar way, not that we need to solve this for workspaces and environments, because, well, at least for my part, I'm not a believer that the workspace needs to be represented on the canvas. I do consider that all constructs, all resources that Meshery is aware of and manages should be possible to place on the canvas. But in this case, probably not necessary that workspaces are there. Probably Sudhanshu was getting, if you were to tweak his suggestion slightly and say that a workspace perhaps isn't a drop-down switcher. That's not a bad suggestion in any regard. But perhaps it's more of a cookie crumb trail, or it's more of like, you could imagine being able to click on the cookie crumb trail and have a drop down and switch workspaces. So it's not, but it's the project. It's the workspace is somewhat synonymous with a project. So it's sort of the project that you're working within and the resources within there and the people that have access to those things, so your designs and your connections, your resources, your credentials, Anyway, food for thought. That may not be the right approach, but along these same lines, now that I'm being long-winded, I just wanted to point out that while we probably don't have to solve this particular sort of hierarchical relationship in which one child can have multiple parents, which most of us do, at least have two, right? Some of us. Anyway, yeah, I don't know that we represent that visually today. Food for thought.
All right.
Good. Does anybody have any thoughts from that particular? Who's got thoughts? Oh, come on now. It's like disrespectful for someone else to go on and on to offer thoughts and no one to have anything. Cosmos, Devesh. I knew it. Completely unfair that I would have called on you. All off. Anyway, nobody's got. I mean, I don't know if any of what I had said made sense. Hey, next time you're using a piece of software, like, I don't know, Google Drive, if do me a favor, if you would think about Google Drive and how it contains any number of Google Docs. If you would consider for a moment that perhaps Meshery workspaces, we'd said our workspaces maybe synonymous to a project. And, workspaces allow various users to share the same project, share the same workspace, share some of the same resources that designs like the one that are like the one that's prototyped here, they live inside of a workspace in the same way that a Google Doc lives inside of a drive. Sometimes you move a Google Doc between drives. Sometimes you open up the Google Doc and share it with others, make it public. It still always resides inside of a drive. Maybe my drive, maybe a shared drive. How's Google Drive represented to you? How do you switch between Google Drives? And how do you tell what drive you're in when you're inside of a doc? There's a congruency here. This isn't an absolute direct, reflection. If you're using a different piece of software, maybe like the one that's being pictured here called Figma, I think is being pictured here. It has such things as, well, there's a design file. And inside the design file, there are pages. Oh, maybe the pages are like designs, like the designs that you pick from Meshmap and pull in. Maybe that's not the right analogy. But these designs live inside of I'm going to get this wrong. I think they live inside of a project. It's a relatively new construct in Figma. Projects are accessed by teams. I think they live inside of teams. Anyway, if you all would do me a favor, think about that as you use some other software. You might have some ideas about how it is that people would want to switch between a workspace.
Okay.
Any other suggestions? Okay. Ritik, do you have more things to discuss?
No, yeah, that's it from us.
Okay. Thank you, Ritik. Ripple, would you like to discuss, like we are circling back to your item? Okay, okay.
Is my screen visible?
Yes.
So basically, I have been working on the pagination for the experimental model command. So this PR has been merged. So right now we can have the, what can I say, the pagination in the experimental command. And basically,
Did you update it? Are you also adding a test case? Like generally when we add a new command, we also add a test for that so that we are sure the command stays up to date when we make any changes. So are you adding that when you make a new change?
in the doc test.go
Mm,
file,
no, actually, like if the name of the command, if the file name is model, then it would be model underscore test.go. So do you have that for this command?
no, I haven't updated it.
Okay.
And the other one is the relationship between the limit range and other Kubernetes components. So basically, this follows the inventory subtype, and all the components that have all the other Kubernetes component that contains a container in it will be having a certain constraint over it, like the usage of the memory and the CPU. So this PR is under review, and yeah, these are the two. And the other one that I have worked on was the relationship between
Just a
the,
minute.
yes,
Did you added, yeah, for the previous relationship,
yes,
did you added the assumption that this assumes like whatever the first container or the last container would be, that limit range should be applied to that container, and not, and you cannot specify like which container to apply to. So if you have not added that assumption, like if you can add it somewhere inside the as a comment or something.
okay, I will add it in the description itself.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
No, got it. And the last one item from my side is the relationship between the config map using the volume mounts. By this, all the containers that are using the config maps will be mounted over a particular volume. Yep. These are the updates from my side. Any suggestions?
So with this, we will support like mounting config map as environment variable or volume mounts, right?
Volume mounts.
No, no, like we will support both, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like we already have a. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, if you have not tested with the with the mesh map already, you need to. I will test it, and you can also verify the behavior. Then you can merge this.
I
Yeah,
just have
I've
one
been afraid. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Pranav.
Please continue. I'll tell you.
Yeah, I've been afraid to merge any of these. Who's there? How will we know if they're mergeable?
Yeah, that's what I said. Like if you have not already used this relationship with the mesh map already, like registering this relationship and ensuring that the behavior is correct, and the behavior is, it is not adding a regression as well as like adding a functionality. So in
What's a
that way, like if
regression?
it
Rupul, what's a regression?
if
Rupul, can you answer my question? How will we know if this is mergeable? Ripul. Ripul, are you there?
Yes, sir. So are you asking me something?
No, never mind. Please continue, Pranav.
I was just suggesting one thing, like currently when we have to document any relationship, we have to like manually do it. So I was saying if we can have a workflow which can automatically read this JSON file and just document on documentation. So just a suggestion if we can do that.
Okay, I can look into it.
Any other suggestions or questions for Lipul?
Okay then.
Thank you, Ripul. I think next is me. Share my screen. Hopefully my screen is visible. So basically I was working on adding a new meshctl command for registry. So currently there isn't a registry level command, which basically helps you manage your registry, basically doing doing viewable operations and doing operation like publishing to different systems. And so basically I was adding this, but then I've also moved it to experimental basically so that first it's stable, then we can move it to as a top level command. So like I was still working on this. Basically what this command will do is so basically we can provide this. First of all, like what the use case of this is to feed our different systems. So what we do is like if you are around here for some time, you might have heard about Meshery models, which helps Meshery to integrate with different systems, and so that Meshery can manage the life cycle of different systems. So for that, we actually like there's a spreadsheet which actually has all the metadata for different things, and we read that metadata and then we send it to different system, whether it's websites or whether it's Meshery's file system. Then Meshery actually reads from the file system and does the thing. So basically the thing is earlier we had scripts for doing all these things, and we wanted to move away from scripts and use our own CLI because we already have that. So basically I was just adding a support where whenever you do Meshery publish, you provide system as your website. Basically there are three systems: Meshery, remote provider, website. You'll pass your credential, then you'll pass the credential ID and just your repo, the repo path where you want to store your models output, and the image path where you will store your image output, and then it will just read from the spreadsheet and it will just push it. Basically it will like the specific directory should be there in the local file system. It will just make changes. Then we have a workflow which can then we already have a workflow which once the changes are made, it just commits to the specific repo. So basically this was about that. And I've already like there was a request to move it to experimental. I've already moved that. And so yeah, I was just tying this off. Any questions on this?
One thing, like instead of having of like publish Meshery, publish remote provider and website, I think it would be better if we can add a flag or like add a parameter which would specify like the location. Like so for example,
Location.
like from the location itself, because I think that's the only differentiator, right, in this zip.
You actually, the thing is, I was also thinking that, but like like for every system, we don't want everything. So we can have like just one command, but it's like for website we just want specific things. So for Meshery we want like almost everything, and for remote provider we just want things till the category and model. So that is why we have these three different commands. But like you are requesting
Okay.
for having just single command for everything.
Like I was not like knowing, or like I didn't assume like this limitation that you just talk about, like the difference between what we output to each of the systems. So yeah, if that's the case, then
Though for website, like we would be doing the same thing for every other website, so that is almost the same. But for other things, there's a different requested output. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but is that just a temporary thing? Or can't
regard-
the remote provider ignore what it doesn't want?
Yes,
Or
it can. But actually, the thing is, for website, we want the output in Markdown file, but like for others, or also, and the structure is different. So for others, we have JSON file, and they have different representation. So that is one of the.
oh, gotcha. Okay, I haven't looked at the command necessarily, but yeah, hopefully there's a parameter for output format. You know, whether it was, and then yeah, I get that at the moment. Probably this isn't worth discussing much because of the development of it for specific use cases. Like to the extent that there's just a generic outputter that just dumps to one format, and you can here's the base level dump, and you can pick up and smell your dump, or pick up and use your dump however you want to. Versus the specific ones for specific sites or specific providers. I shouldn't have interrupted. I shouldn't have said anything. I don't think any of what I just said is helpful.
No, it's okay. Any other questions?
Pranav, line numbers 48 and 49 are a bit confusing to me. The rest of the ones have registry keyword, but here the registry keyword is not there on 49 line number. The example.
So yeah, thank you. Actually, I missed that. Like under publish is a subcommand for registry. Yes, I'll update this. Thank you.
Sure.
So those were the updates from my side. Victoria, would you like to discuss about new Kubernetes icons?
Yeah. I'm connecting with my phone because my laptop is dead. So I'll be sharing my phone screen. So you just have to. Okay. Yeah. So based on the feedback that I received in the last meeting, I've updated the design for the mutating web view configuration icon and the port templates as well. So, okay. Then I've added a few more icons. I think about 5 icons that I added. There is the list icon here. And this one. This one's here. So we have 2 more icons left. The runtime class and then ingress class icons. Those are the 2 left for me to design. So if there is any feedback regarding these ones, I'd like to hear them. So I took this suggestion and I tried to make the icons recognizable so that, for instance, this self-subject access review. So there are about 4 icons that bear similar name. There's self-subject access review, there's subject access review, there's local subject access review, and self-subject rules review. So I try to not make the icons so different from each other so that the users can recognize that they are somewhat related. Then there's the endpoint slice. So feedback, comments.
Yeah, what's an endpoint slice related to?
I didn't get that.
What's an endpoint slice related to?
Endpoints.
All right, where's the endpoint icon?
No, there is already an existing icon for endpoints.
Okay, and what does it look like?
It looks like there's
Does it look anything like the endpoint slice icon? No.
No.
Didn't you just say? I was just repeating back what you just said. I thought. Okay. All right. Food for thought.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So besides that,
would you do me a favor and separate out the Meshery resources from the Kubernetes resources? That would be just lovely. I think that point of feedback might have been given yesterday.
yeah. The only Kubernetes resources here are the ingress and limit range. So I brought them to the top. So everything below this are custom icons.
Yep. So great. The Kubernetes. Okay. Does anyone else understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you are suggesting to move the Kubernetes connection is our resource, it's not any Kubernetes resource. So you're just suggesting to move it in a separate box so that basically it's different from the other things.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Good.
got
And
it.
oh, nice. Okay. Hey, on the mutating webhook configuration, something to consider is when you want to show a user like an icon to delete something, what might you put in there?
The X.
All right. Huh.
Delete icon. That does when type.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing like for if we change the color of this pot template icon like to orange, like then it will look like the app mesh icon, like
If I change what?
app mesh icon. So if I share.
Okay.
So here you can see like it's almost same.
For the pot template.
Yeah, for the pot template. Yeah. So
I should rework that.
yeah, maybe something different, a little bit different.
Okay.
Or something, yeah.
Okay.
For which one?
For pod template, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if it is agreed that pod is well, I don't know, this isn't isometric, but is a cube like this, and template is like a virtual. Like I don't know what other suggestion do you have, Ritik?
Pod like I don't have right now.
Okay, yeah, no problem. But does I wonder if and maybe it needs to be changed, and you know maybe pods aren't cubes. But I wonder if the thing that Victoria is driving at, and by the way, Victoria is getting lots of very specific feedback because, oh man, these things are so important. These things are differentiators for the project. There's a set of Kubernetes icons out there that Victoria can point you to that are generally available to the public. They're not so great. They're not very good. They don't necessarily look like a uniform set, even though they were created as one. And so Victoria is going to help us rise above that. One thing as you go to design these particular icons, Victoria, you see the spacing between your Y and the outline? Yeah, yep, very good. And then the lack of symmetry between the gaps that you have of the dashes in the other places.
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily always have to line up, but there's only 3 of them. It sure would be nice if they did. It would just be it would be more appealing. Right now, it almost looks like that is indented, depending upon how your brain works. As opposed
I
to
see that.
Cool. Hey, controller revision, the controller, what is it? Oh, sorry, that other thought there was like, hey, if you have a dashed line, maybe that represents something like a template or something like some virtualized thing or some limit or boundary that is superimposed. I think that there's
Yeah.
certainly something to be said for dashed lines. Makes a lot of sense. Your thinking process there makes a lot of sense to me. The control, I think a lot of the credentials one, that's pretty hard to argue against. I don't know that we've not generally been going for squared edges. Like go look at some of the other go look at the other icon sets that we have. Like there's pre-existing, I think that person, that's hard to get it different, but we have a community, we have an icon for community, we have an icon for service account, we have an icon for a number of icons that have a humanoid profile. Is this the same? If it isn't, bang. If you didn't copy and paste from there, then yeah, anyway. Consider that you know, on the pod metrics, if you would consider the inver. Yeah, now I'm seeing pod disruption budget, which is not an outline. It's not an outline, it's the lack of an outline. And so anyways, that's a little maybe that works out beautiful though. I don't know. Pod metrics, if you would consider that just as an alternative, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but instead of the lack of a line, perhaps just have the line. And what does that look like? Maybe not enough, but it might be nice to disprove it by having it sit there next to it. It also, I think you're behind the clock because I think you were committing to having all these done. So you need more of them. One, because you committed to doing it, but two, because it's difficult to offer feedback when you're not reasoning over or considering an entire set. And that's what you're trying to achieve is a full set. And it's not just the 51 for Kubernetes resources. It's the sets of sets. It's the 260 sets that we need. So one, get a move on so we can get through the rest of our sets. Two, get your first full set going so you can get better feedback. Because some of what I've just said is completely caveated by what's the style of the rest of them. And for you to figure out what that style of the rest of them is, go to our current icons. Please. Great. Okay. Super important what you're doing. All right. Who's next? Are we out of time? For now, what else we got? By the way, a lot of what I just said was like food for thought. And some of it, there was an insinuation that maybe you should really, really, really think about that food. But some of it is just really just thinking aloud with you. Not everything that was just said should be accepted as the right thing to do. So, but hopefully getting a set together and starting from the base of what we have, like those are good foundational. You'll be able to present your thesis, so to speak, present your next drafts and defend them because, oh, well, we're using this one and it does it like this and et cetera. And we've taught the user already that this means this. And so that's why, and et cetera. And that's what you've got to have behind these things. You've got to, you know, and you can write it out. Actually, it would be really good if you wrote it out right next to them. It'd make for an interesting journey, make for a great portfolio. What else do we have today?
I think next item is from Archit, but we have already like 1 hour. So then probably like cover next time. Or Archit, if you can quickly go over there, then we can cover.
Sure.
Like the first thing I wanted to like share with like all the I don't know how many new people are here. So like so in our Meshery docs, we have recently excluded the older version of our documentation. So like we have this switcher. So like this can be removed. So it's a good first issue. So someone can take on this. I'll quickly share what I've been working on. So first thing is like Lee added the session and token pages which were not visible. So I've like fixed them and they're now visible. So on the layer 5 docs. And the next thing is like I've removed the view page source and the create child page from the right sidebar of the layer 5 docs. And also like next thing is like I've removed the date from the front matter of all the pages of layer 5 docs because we don't need it. Okay, so
Great. Did you offer up clarification somewhere else so that when we do need to bring that back, if ever, what it would be used for?
actually it's mostly the date.
Cool. Yeah, but did you write?
Basically to organize them.
That's great.
Basically,
that's great. I'm not asking what it's for. I'm asking, did you write down in the document in the contributing.md or the README the answer?
I've not. I will.
Okay. Thank you. That's great. Good. Anytime that we go to delete something, it's helpful to, because if we're not using it in the moment, but we might come back to it. It's kind of why people comment out code and leave that code in there. It's probably the nagging concept that like, there might still be some value or might need to come back to this. And so leaving some comments about the commented out code is probably what a lot of people forget to do, but that's what I'm asking you to do here. If we could, there's an urgent issue with a bunch of broken links in the Meshery.io catalog. The single technology integration pages have broken links, and I'm afraid we still have some fallout from recent sort of sweeping changes to the model generators to the. Is there any focus on that? Is that still an open issue?
I'll take a look on Deadly.
Okay, and you don't have to bite the bullet for Pranav necessarily.
No, I have to look into it. Like the issue with catalog is like the model selector that we have in UI, it's not compliant with what we have. So I'll check that. I'll fix it.
Well, who else? So we've got some theme champions here. Folks who are trying to deliver something in V08. Did any of you that wanted to speak about your items get a chance to? Or just, just sort of getting the ball rolling on either EKS improvements in Meshery CTL with Husseina or some enhanced discovery mechanisms with Daniel, or tutorials on the docs.
I just had a quick question on an issue that I'm working on Meshery UI. So I can go ahead and share my screen real quick. I tried to go through the docs the other day, but was a little unsuccessful. Let me just yeah, cool. So the issue that I'm working on basically, right, is when I'm on the playground, and when you click on a node, sometimes when it's let me just edit this. When it's on a smaller viewport, say for example a phone, these icons the font for these icons are much bigger than the actual data that you're trying to look for. But the thing is, so I'm trying to replicate it on on my local, right? And what I wasn't able to find is, so for example, if I'm on my local, I don't know how to add a node. Like I don't really know what this means or how to add things, so I can't replicate the issue because I can't. There's no rows, there's no information data for me to click into. And I looked through the docs as well, and it wasn't very clear to me how um, I could go about this. So I was just wondering if anyone could help me out.
Yeah, Sudhanshu, there's like 8 people on the call that can be answering this. Got some people who are kind of shy, I think. Some I wouldn't have expected that of Sudhanshu, but Sonali maybe. But Sonali,
I think
Sudhanshu, Yash.
probably like you have not connected to your any Kubernetes cluster. So that's why no information is showing on node namespace or most the like quick solution for this you can like open a Docker desktop and then run Meshery, then you will see those information.
Okay, so yeah, because I have it running. Well, I guess maybe not. But I do have it running here on the 9081 port through my Docker. But I still don't have
The
the.
Docker must have Kubernetes enabled if you want to check.
Oh, okay. I thought I.
Good night.
Okay. Well, okay, cool. So I'll look into that. I thought I did. Okay, there we go. Cool. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll I'll stop sharing here. Um, I'll see if that works, and if not, I'll just send more. Maybe I'll like post in the forum as well. But hopefully that solves it. Thank you.
You also need to upload your kubeconfig. Hopefully, there's some docs around that process.
Okay. Kubeconfig. Okay, I'll look into that.
Sure.
One of the things that would be a nice contributor experience enhancement or a nice DevX enhancement. Pranav, do you?
Yes, it's the like dummy connection. Like I couldn't get to it, but it's like if we can seed a connection in the database and then you will have the connection as well as the specific the resources for that in the local database, then you won't have to connect to any cluster. You will still see everything.
So to repeat that back, what Pranav is saying is that it's been acknowledged that sometimes it's not necessary to have an active live running Kubernetes cluster, whether it's local, which can consume a bit of resources on your machine, or whether it's remote. That's fine. Either of those scenarios works great. You do it whether you're running locally or remotely. You do have to pay attention to networking. A lot of times that bites people. There's a contributor right now whose first name starts with an O, Omas. Maybe he's got a discussion forum post. He's trying to connect Meshery to Minikube, and 95% of the time it's a networking issue. He's probably got a networking issue. Anyway, the point is that it's not always necessary to have an active connection to a Kubernetes cluster. It suffices that even if you want to work with Kubernetes data, you still don't have to have a live one. It would suffice just to have a community resource that would just be a static copy of a database that is populated with just a sample set of Kubernetes data. That way you can spare yourself a couple of gigs of memory and some CPU power. I just said CPUs. Oh man. My English is deteriorating. But so hopefully in the future, Cesar, you won't have to do that. Hopefully that would just be like what Pranav had said was like a dummy connection or some dummy, now I can't think of another word other than dummy, but some connection you can just turn on. Yeah. That'd be
That
nice.
makes sense. Yeah, and I was also thinking maybe once I finish this issue and get the PR and everything merged, like I think it would be helpful. I'm thinking about opening up an issue to maybe update the docs to make it a little bit more clear, so that it's a little easier for a newcomer in the future.
Oh, totally. Yeah, please do. Sometimes you might find, or I'd be curious to know if anything that you write down you don't find in the docs. And what I mean by that is you should absolutely go update the docs. Please do. What I mean to say is sometimes it depends on the particular situation of like Meshery is a big old project. And if you're looking to work on this thing and you're starting from here and you're a UI person or you're a backend person and you're like how the docs are written, like sometimes it's very helpful just to say the same thing but start from two different perspectives because anyway, yeah, please do. And maybe think about that if you would, because maybe you end up not only adding some new things and massaging what's there, but you might even think about putting scenarios like if this is you, here's the suggested path that might make more sense. And if this is you, sometimes you don't even need to run Meshery server to work on Meshery UI. Sometimes you need to run Meshery server and don't need to run a Kubernetes cluster. Sometimes you need to run the UI, the server, the cluster, and multiple clusters. It depends on what you're doing, but in a long-winded way, say sorry. Yeah, please do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you, Caesar. So I think that's a wrap, and now we'll meet tomorrow for newcomers meeting, and we'll also meet once again tomorrow on our Meshery build and release call. So we'll see you in Slack until then. So thank you all for joining.
Actually, sorry to interrupt. I wanted to show something. Like I just recently occurred to see an error on Playground. If you have 2 minutes for me to share.
We can
for my
discuss
part,
on.
Okay.
yeah,
problem.
anybody that doesn't have time can take off. But at least I would stick around. And some other people might.
So tell me, like, should I share
Yeah,
or
please,
just?
yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, okay. There's my screen. So actually, I was trying to figure out the recent issue I had raised, but just give me a second. So like I was trying to figure out like the playground.meshery.io. So I just saw this pop-up, like it was popping up randomly without any notification or something, and like I was just like I wasn't even scrolling or something like anything, but it was the notification on all those pop-ups were frequently been coming off and all. So like if anyone is working on this website on this page or something, like I wanted to let you know.
Oh, thanks.
And
Yeah.
the second of all is
Is it a question for you? Like the one that you're showing here.
Yes.
Does it? Have you seen this same one more than once?
No, actually, this is like to be quite honest, this is the first time I'm trying to set it up. So yeah, this is my first time.
Oh, nice.
But like I tried to replicate this again on like on another tab, but I didn't saw anything. So yeah, like I
Gotcha.
think this is for the first timers. If you like I'm not really sure about the code base as of now. Like according to me, this must be for the first timers. Whenever a user is logging in or something, so that might be the reason there's something related to it. And like one more thing I would like to consider is like this hopping into the share. This one pop-up should be shifted in the center, I guess. Like and the like it was more like it was more like the first one was around here, then second one was around here, and like the process was going on about simultaneously for 3 to 4 times. I was just closing the window and another windows were popping out.
Got you. Thanks much for reporting this, Devesh.
Yeah,
it's really helpful.
thanks a lot.
Yeah. As you go through and you start to as you have more of those experiences, please keep calling them out, and
Yeah, sure.
if we don't hesitate to use the discussion forum as well. In
Yeah,
case we
sure.
run out.
That like actually I found this meeting very helpful, so I thought I should just let you know.
Oh yeah, that's
Mhm.
great.
Okay, just one more thing. Like if I'm here, I would like to discuss my error or something like, or the topic I would like to discuss today. If may I?
Yeah, if you can do it in 59 seconds.
Sure. Like there's nothing much I have to share as of now. The error I was like, this was the one. This was the link I was. Uh, just give me a second. Huh. Like this was the issue I raised, and I was trying to replicate it again after some time.
Yeah, and you
But
won't be able to
now,
because we made a new release, and it works. The logic works just fine with that, with the new release. Why would that
but
be?
or like I would like that's great, but I would like to know like what caused this particular
Yeah,
issue.
no, it'll come back again. I'm not saying that we fixed it. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
we
like
fixed it. I'm saying the new release. It has to do with Semver and the way that the logic behind it, discerning what constitutes a latest release. And I actually said it in the comment there. So for the patch releases, the alpha releases and the beta releases, is Hussein
yeah,
still here?
like
No, she's
like
not. So for those releases, we don't make a release for those Meshery releases that end in patch, alpha, beta, or RC for release candidate. They don't contain a release of Meshery CTL. As such, it is an ongoing problem for us. It is something that does need to be solved. I was just interjecting saying, yes, you won't see it in this release. You will see it if we make a patch, alpha, beta, or RC release. The logic that is used for ascertaining what the latest release is needs to be updated to exclude patch, alpha,
exclude
beta,
all the
RC.
That's why I was like I tried contacting this Hexterm. I think her name is Hosseina Begum, if I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know if she's on call right now or not. If she is, please can you text me on Slack so we can continue working on it. Like there are two issues open for this. Like I don't think two issues need to be open for the same error or some same glitch.
Cool. She's not on. She was on earlier. Yep.
Okay.
It
No
is
worries.
Hussein,
I'll
and
just
you can tag her in
okay.
Slack.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's all from my side now. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Devesh. That's great. Thanks, Pranav. Thanks for sticking on, everybody. Hey, that's a wrap. We'll see you back in Slack. See you back in the discussion forum. Tomorrow, do we have a CI call, a build and release call?
Yeah, we
Okay,
have.
we do. So hopefully we'll see a number of you tomorrow, a couple hours later from now. See you guys.